Hello, this is the RPG Crawler, and welcome to another Indie Game Friday, where I take a look each week at a different independent role-playing game. This week we're going to delve into the realm of the free-to-play and check out Soda Dungeon, a pixel-based casual RPG/management game. Released on Steam on February 7th, 2017, it was developed by AN Productions and Poxpower, and published by Armor Games. It's free to play, but it does have some time-saving microtransactions. But more on that later. Soda Dungeon is the most casual of casual RPGs. You're a down-on-your-luck mooch hanging around a local soda tavern during an age of adventure, when you hit upon an idea. And that is to entice adventurers to go into the dungeon, follow them in, and when they inevitably get beaten, you pick up the money that they had collected. It's a setup that's actually been used on various other not-quite RPGs in the past, and it works well here. Gameplay consists of two major elements, the tavern and patron management, and then the combat within the dungeon. The tavern section allows you to hire various NPCs, the number and classes of which are influenced by the tavern's reputation, furnishings, and stock. The dungeon, and similarly the arena option, allows you to follow the party's progress through a series of battles and events. You may either control the party through their limited options in each battle, or allow for an auto-battle system to resolve it for you. The tavern is where the majority of your real decisions are made. Within it, you get various NPCs who can sell you upgrades. The bartender, for instance, allows you to buy upgrades to the tavern, which affects the percent chance that an NPC adventure is generated each turn, what classes are available, and certain options with regard to the costs of hiring each one. The armorer sells various weapons, armor, and items that you can unlock, either by acquiring them in the dungeon or encountering certain creatures, and also allows you to sell excess gear. The wizard allows you to warp into deeper levels, so that you don't have to start out each adventure on level 1, as well as some other things that are unlocked as you proceed through the game. Between each expedition, your party is utterly cleared, and you must select from the available NPC adventurers at the start of each. Every class is progressively more effective, and is unlocked by buying access to more expensive soda in the tavern. Just because you have access to a class, however, doesn't mean that you'll necessarily receive that class during a level's setup. Each table or stool has a random chance to attract an adventurer, and then the adventurer's class is determined from there. You may hire up to 5 members of your party and adjust their gear individually from what you have on hand. It's highly beneficial to hire more adventurers as soon as possible. Not only does it provide more actions in any given round, but the 4th and 5th adventurers will be positioned on the other side of the enemies encountered, allowing for backed attacks and switching of facings. The adventurer has 3 stats that you need to worry about: hit points, attack, and magic points. Most adventurers don't even need to worry about magic points at all until later in the game. These stats are then affected by what gear you would give them. Armor and shields, for instance, affect hit points and attack, while weapons primarily affect attack. Each item equipped may also give the characters access to another option besides a basic attack. A healing stone, for instance, will allow that character to heal one another during combat, while some shields offer the ability to defend, etc., etc. You can purchase gear at the armorer, or find it in the dungeon. There is an option to automatically equip your party with the best gear when you hire them, and you keep gear between expeditions. Apparently your prior party strips down before they run away, so you don't have to worry too much about losing good items. There's something worth mentioning, though. The best gear option can be a little bit quirky, especially when dealing with the special items slot. If you want a particular item in that slot, you might want to double check that you have it equipped before you set out on your adventure. Once your party is equipped, you can enter the dungeon either through the front door or through warping once you've unlocked the wizard. Dungeon exploration is straightforward, just a series of combats before a mini-boss and then a boss. Every 10 or so combats, you enter another themed area that increases the level. Combat options are pretty straightforward, your characters all go in order and then the enemies go. You can either just click on an enemy for a basic attack or select one of the alternate abilities if you've equipped things that grant them to you. After each combat, you get a certain amount of gold, and at the end of each level you get your choice of 3 randomly generated treasure chests. If a party is defeated, they leave their share of the gold and their equipment behind, then run away. When it's a total party wipe, Then you count up all the additional gear and coin you found, and return to the tavern. There's not much in the way of exploration, just the occasional ambush to trigger an additional combat, or a fork in the road, which can trigger a random event. You can skip the forks without going after them if you want. With the simplicity of the combat, it's almost worthwhile just pushing it on auto combat on all but the hardest battles, and there's not much leeway once you do start losing, as the battles never get easier. That having been said, there's still a bit of strategy in terms of selecting equipment and using alternate abilities at a certain time that can introduce at least some skill into what is otherwise a very randomly generated progression. There's also a daily arena challenge where you can engage in as well, just to advance through a series of combats separate from the dungeon, but for increased payoff. Graphically, the game uses a cute pixel art style with interface elements that appear ripped right from a mobile game. Indeed, almost everything about this game screams that it was on mobile on some point, which would not surprise me. The music is way catchy, and I have to admit enjoying it quite a bit. Gameplay-wise, it's super repetitive. Not quite totally mindless, but good to just kill a few hours while doing something else. It's not quite a clicker game, so it's not that annoying, but if you enjoy that sort of casual style, then you'll probably find this one amusing for a few hours. And the fact that it's free means that it's certainly worthwhile. But this brings me to the microtransactions. You can pay a nominal fee to max out elements of your tavern if you want to avoid the tavern build-up, but honestly, I'd only see value in doing this if you're primarily interested in the dungeon combat, since really, the tavern is half of the game. From what I saw, none of the microtransactions seemed mandatory, so you could probably avoid many of them. In the end, is Soda Dungeon worth checking out? Well, it's free. I had fun with it. You could probably kill a few hours with it relatively easily, and it's pretty cute. So, yeah, I'd say it's worth grabbing, if only to check it out once. It's not going to be some grand dungeon crawl epic, but it will satisfy some of the basic loot collecting and monster smashing urges that somebody might have without being a real all-afternoon commitment. And I'll leave it at that. Link will be below as always. This has been the RPG Crawler with Indie Game Friday. If you like what you've seen, remember to leave a like, comment if you've got feedback, and subscribe for more RPG content. Until next time, take care and goodbye.